Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristin.
And this is So I'm Watching Desperate Housewives, Season 1, Episode 9. Is that what we determined?
Yep. Suspicious Minds.
Okay. There's some stuff to talk about in this episode. This was a good episode.
It feels jam-packed. Like, I was expecting to be done for, like, a while.
Yeah. Things, in my opinion, the plot kicked into gear a lot. Things are actually happening. If you want to watch along with us, we are posting our full unedited reaction. Maybe one day they might get condensed down. Who knows? I kind of want to now because I was dying.
It was a lot.
In this episode.
Yeah.
I was genuinely laughing. A dig
Perfect for Sunday tea or a christening. No!
And I'm on. I kind of want to start with Lynette because hers is
the least.
Yeah, the most condensed. But basically, she's off the pills. Her and Tom are working on things. It's chugga-chugga-ing along. He's slowly but seemingly understanding.
But he did say the phrase,
and then we go back to normal?
Which is not it.
To which she said,
Tom, our last version of normal had me popping pills. Normal is a bad plan.
Exactly.
So they determine that they want a nanny. She insists full-time. We both think part-time
would be enough. Just someone to so that she can do the other. Because she is a stay-at-home mom. And so if she had someone to nanny the kids for
the afternoons,
4 hours after they get home from school, I honestly think that would be, maybe a little bit longer so that they could take care of the baby too. But because the baby's not in school, just the three boys. Yeah.
It is Marla Sokoloff.
Mwah. All right, have fun, and I'll be right here if you need me, okay?
Who was an actress that we grew up with. Does she still work? Does she still do
she
stuff?
gigs.
Okay. There was a hot minute where she was in the teen stuff and all that. It's very funny because Lynette is trying to poach her.
So Claire, you come here often?
And Claire understands this and is playing along, so they're treating it like they're having an affair.
The whole exchange, because it starts with Lynette kind of smarmily being like, "Do you come here often?" It's very silly.
You really enjoyed that.
It was very silly.
But Felicity Huffman has, I don't know if kids still say this anymore, but she has BDE.
Oh.
So anyways, she's trying to poach Claire from her boss, Alexis, who seems just terrible.
You're not the first person to approach me.
How can you stay here after the way she treats you?
Comes with the territory, right?
I don't think anything comes of Alexis. I don't remember if we ever actually get to know her.
Don't treat your help like that. Treat your help like Gabby. Get them in on the shenanigans with you.
Oh, okay. I was like, fuck them?
No. Like Yao Lin. Not like John, like Yao Lin. She got her in on the shenanigans.
So, yes.
The illegal shenanigans.
It seems like Claire is jumping.
Yeah, jumping ship.
Okay.
Here's the thing for me is, I don't understand how Lynette and Tom can pay her more money than she's making
from Alexis.
Who seems to be living in a double income household because it seems like she works and her implied husband works.
That's a problem for 3 episodes from now, Lynette.
Sure.
So, I am going to talk about Gabby and John.
Okay.
And I feel like we need to establish true neutral. Like, we need to establish a moral compass.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. A real life moral compass or a TV show moral compass? Because those are different.
We're going to start with real life.
Okay.
And phase into the TV show. Knowing something and understanding something are 2 different things.
Sure.
So, it is immoral for an adult to enter into an intimate and especially sexual relationship with a minor.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period of time where the lines were a little blurred because of social optics. This was in the 2004s deemed as not as, I don't want to say not as bad, but
not as yucky.
Well, because Gabby is female and John is male.
Sure.
And because they both present very traditionally male and female, it's hard for the average person to imagine that he is being taken advantage of.
Because he seems very into it as well.
Yeah. And again, what we are looking at is a man. And this is where the fantasy, this is where the fantasy comes in. And I remember knowing, my whole life I've known this is wrong and not to do it. But I didn't understand it until I was a little bit older.
Sure.
Because I remember being a teenager and desiring sex from people who were older than me.
Sure.
And thinking, I want it. I'm not a victim in this situation. So why is this such a big deal? Only through growing up did I understand that, say, when I was 16 years old and there was a 21-year-old guy in the theater troupe that I was in love with, that had he reciprocated even a little bit, I would have made life-altering decisions for him about this relationship. It took me a while to fully grasp that is specifically why it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because
there's also like nobody ever taught us about the imbalance in power dynamics when we were growing up.
I wouldn't have understood
that he had that much sway.
Because it's maturity, it's experience. They've been through this, they've seen more, they've done more. And so, because especially when I was younger, I thought of it more transactionally as, you have something I want, let me have it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying yes.
Yeah.
So I think one of this show was occurring at a time when we were sort of socially reevaluating a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because in the decades prior, this would have been, well, the way the show kind of was treating it.
Or how, like we've talked about before, where they almost always on TV, they do the older woman and the younger man in shows like this, because that's how it is in Dawson's Creek and like
Metronamic and Gossip Girl.
And then on Riverdale as well. And it's like, and I will say too,
and it's always a desirable woman and a desirable man, which confuses our brains.
Where you're like, yeah, you're both hot. Obviously, you should have sex with each other. But I agree that it's like in the reality of the situation in this show, Gabby is like minimum 28, let's say, and she started having sex with a 16-year-old boy.
Twice his age.
Exactly.
And
which is
Gabby is worldly.
Yes, she was a runway model.
Because we talked about a similar thing in True Blood with Hoyt and Jessica, because Jessica's 17 and Hoyt is 28, and I allow it in True Blood because I think the power lines up for them.
Well, it does, and also,
I don't feel like there's a power imbalance the way I do feel like there is here.
And also, I've said this before, and I stand by it. The moment you become a vampire, your age no longer matters.
That's a different conversation.
It is, but for the Hoyt and
broad strokes, I agree, but I needed to make that clear in order to talk about the fantasy of it, because the show up until this point has largely been instructing us to view it as fun
and frivolity,
and scandalous, and risque.
Yeah.
What I am finding, and that put a lot of people off. My Aunt Tammy wouldn't watch this show because of that.
Well, that's the reason that in that Arrested Development, when they're picketing outside Mark Cherry's house.
Protest the home of Mark Cherry, executive producer of the hit show Desperate Housewives.
It's a satire!
It's a satire!
What I find interesting, and I didn't fully absorb at the time, is the show actually is chronicling why it's bad.
Yes, correct.
It's just done with plinky music.
Well, and it's because it's exactly what you said when you started this conversation. There's a difference between knowing and understanding. And I think the whole time Gabby has known she's doing something wrong, but until someone else finds out, she doesn't understand the level of wrongness.
Because I don't think Gabby is a bad person, but I think her behavior has been very bad. And I think she needs to reckon with that. And I think potentially losing Susan and then Carlos gave her a very real reality check. I also think Susan handled it really well.
Susan, hi. Do you want to help with the seating cards? Sure, do you want to tell me why you had your foot in John Rowland's crotch yesterday?
I do too. I really do too. And despite her humiliation.
Whoa! Pitch perfect in this episode. This wasn't falling into a cake on a wedding table. This was hard-earned vaudeville. Like,
Well, and because also Mrs. Rowland was like, struggling with her physically, and so it works out. It worked in this, but I mourn the dress. I had forgotten she ripped the bottom of that dress.
We have a full discussion about the dress in the watch along.
It's pretty, and it looks so fantastic.
Well, it's very 2000s, but it lives beyond that.
But it also scratches that Marchesa itch. Yeah,
a little bit of Cavalli.
Yeah. So good.
But I truly like that Susan, that she sees them canoodling, playing footsie.
Gosh. Oh, that's okay, I got it.
No, well, they're not playing footsie. Gabby is giving him a foot job under the table. I mean, in public.
I can't. You're making it harder for me to justify this. No.
In public, 15 feet away from his mother. During a charity event.
Because Susan does blurt out,
For God's sake, Helen, this is for charity!
tearing the dress apart.
Well, it's because at that moment, she still doesn't understand why Helen is mad at her.
She thinks she's mad because she's going last.
Did they tell you about the change in lineup? I'm gonna go last. I hope that's okay.
There's a special place in hell for people like you.
I'm sorry. It wasn't my decision.
Which that dress, that whatever Helen brought back was like black and sparkly. It was nowhere near going to be as good as Susan's dress.
So Susan does approach Gabby with the appropriately serious tone.
Yeah.
And is sort of like,
You're sleeping with him, aren't you?
Yes, but you have to promise not to tell anybody.
Gabrielle, he's in high school, and it's illegal, and you're married.
I'm giving you a chance to explain yourself.
Yeah.
It's just sex. It's totally harmless.
Gabby tries to brush it off. Susan doesn't buy it.
How can you call something like this harmless? After everything you know about what I went through with Carl?
Susan draws a line in the sand.
This isn't about you.
Yes, it is. It's about me and about every other person who was screwed over by somebody they loved.
However, she keeps herself open enough.
See you at the show.
Yeah.
Because I think if she came at Gabby full dark, no stars, it would solidify them in the positions they're already in. Like, Gabby would double down, kind of.
Well, also the fact that she doesn't fully draw a line in the sand until she's been humiliated in front of everybody, Susan. And that's when she's like...
Well, because it's still ongoing at that...
Well, it is still
information is still coming in.
But the fact that basically... For somehow Helen has been led to believe that it's Susan who's sleeping with her son, and she's like, you need to fix this or that's it for us.
But so I think is what I'm saying though is if Susan took it upon herself to do something about it, it would put Gabby on the defense.
Of course, yes.
So because Susan was like, I know about this, I don't approve of it, I'm going to give you, she doesn't exactly say this, but the
give you
effectively,
a chance.
I'm going to give you a minute to get your house in order.
Yeah. And I actually...
To which Gabby kind of starts doing.
Yeah. I also love the fact that Susan made it personal. That it wasn't like...
I didn't, but go ahead.
Oh, I do, because I feel like the fact that you're having sex with an underage boy is wrong. It should be taken as read. But it's like, you were my friend through my divorce where my husband cheated on me. How could you be cheating on your husband? You know how destructive this is as like an action.
Okay. Especially with Susan also somewhat being friends with Carlos.
And also having a 16-year-old child as well. Like, or whatever. Like, Julie's supposed to be 14 or 15.
I thought she was 14, but I think indiscretions between adults, which is which avoids this conversation. But I think indiscretions between adults are between those adults. I think that Carl having an affair is a different...
Because Brandy was an adult. She just was much younger.
But no. I mean, because for all we know, again, taking the teenager out of it, well, for all we know, Carlos knows.
Oh, I see what you mean. So it's like you can't be...
A person's intimate relationship is their own business.
Sure.
So it's like Gabby having a boy toy.
But again, you have to take the teenager part out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's like, but sure, you don't go meddling in another person's marriage is what you're saying.
And you just like, you can't wreck a happy home. People say that. Like, there's a lot going on. Like, I'm not big on the home wrecker narrative.
Well, I do also love that when Susan was like, and you have a husband who adores you, and she was like, no, I don't. He likes having me. And I was like, that's interesting. Because again, and then we also, in the opener of this episode, we got that bomb of information that Gabby's stepdad visited her bedroom when she was 15.
Her first great idea came when she was 15, after her stepfather paid her a late-night visit. She bought a bus ticket to New York the very next day.
Holy fucking hell!
And it's played for comedy?
It is played for comedy.
It was I yelped. Oh, yeah, I think it's a charity fashion show. Yikes!
Okay. Gabby makes a little more sense now. Yeah.
I don't remember that nugget.
No,
I
me
don't
too.
remember if
Me
anything
neither.
comes of it.
Because that's the thing, too, what I said in our watch-along, where I was like, it certainly doesn't excuse any behavior that she's doing, but it certainly informs some of the decisions that she's making. Where, like...
Treating sex transactionally?
Well, for sure, because the second and third little flashback, the, like, photographer flashback, where she's clearly using her sexuality to get a modeling career, and then the Carlos flashback, where she's clearly using her sexuality to get a rich husband, all of those things add up to her, again, knowing that it is legally and morally and ethically wrong to be sleeping with a 16-year-old boy, but not understanding the actual consequences and implications of that choice.
Which is interesting because it also is immaturity on Gabby's part.
For sure. Yeah.
So...
Because then that folds back into
that muddies the waters a little bit.
That you were saying, where it's like, John is game for this because she's a hot older lady who's going to, like, teach him how to do sex good. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have, the capability.
Where it was shocking, where it crossed lines, like, for me, aforementioned teenager slide, is when Danielle got involved.
Yes.
When Gabby's meddling is affecting Danielle's life path, we have lost control of this situation.
For sure.
Like, whole hog.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting that the show actually does get to these repercussions. They just take their time.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're right. It was like you kind of did have to go on the journey of the show, sort of inch by inch, telling you, like, sort of subversively how it's wrong, until we get to this big moment where you're like, no, it's actual for real wrong. And Gabby also realizes it's wrong, and she has
It's a little bit surprising.
And she has to eat a little shit.
Yeah, the show a little bit does take a turn where it's like when the rest of the show goes, oh no, this is bad, we know it.
Yeah.
We just took a minute to say it. You needed to understand what was happening first.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that.
It's part of that you have to look at a work as a whole versus a part of it. But I think there was so much more I wanted to say there, but I'm not sure. Carlos, it ends. Gabby actually does confess,
to
which
Helen.
you were impressed by.
I know you're friends with Susan Meyer, but let's just say I had my reasons.
It wasn't Susan. It was me.
What?
I'm the one who was sleeping with your son. So sorry.
Well, I just like once you're there and Susan is like, this is the defining moment of our friendship. If you don't own up to this, so Helen knows I'm not sleeping with her son, that's it for us. And so for her to just go almost immediately and be like, it wasn't Susan, it was me. I mean, but then she admits that she's been doing it since he was for almost a year. Since he was 16.
For how long?
Almost a year.
So, when it started, he was 16?
I think...
That's what's known as grooming.
Yeah.
People love that word. They don't know what it means.
It's bad. It's real bad. It's so bad. And then she almost admits to Carlos, but then the FBI arrives to arrest him for presumably embezzling or something.
He claims Tanaka screwed him over.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics, but I think the last thing I will say specifically about the ethics and the morals of the affair is this show and many shows, much entertainment, is not an instruction manual. Yeah. It is a mirror. It is it is a culmination.
It's like a funhouse mirror.
Yeah, but it's like this is how we felt about these things at the time. I mean, Stacy's mom and Stifler's mom.
I got some scotch.
Single malt?
Aged 18 years. The way I like it.
And there was like all kinds of stuff that it was very casual. I mean, I said I was 14 years old watching American Pie, and in that movie, they secretly spy on Shannon Elizabeth taking her clothes off, and when she finds out, and broadcast it. Yeah. So they're not just invading her privacy. School, right? They broadcast it to the entire school, and when she finds out about it, she is excited sexually.
Yeah.
It fucked our brains a little bit.
Did. It way did. Like a lot. Yeah.
So on one hand, shows need to be cognizant of what they're putting out there, but on the other hand, they are a reflection of what we as a society are going through at that time.
Yeah.
So this is a little microcosm of the year 2004, you know. We got the introduction of, I cannot remember his name, Ryan Carnes.
But on the upside, your social status at school is going to explode when people find out you're doing a hot housewife. Shut up, dude.
Justin.
He's not a big part of the show, but he comes back. He's on the show.
That's basically how...
And he was a big deal for 17, 18, 19-year-old gays watching the show.
He's the reason why Helen found out about the affair with a housewife, a hot housewife.
He gets plot later. Yeah. I don't remember if it's this season. I think it's this season. So that was noteworthy. I guess
Bree.
That's, yeah. Is Bree... So is Andrew... So she's upset because Andrew's not upset.
Yeah, he ran a woman over with his car, and he doesn't care at all.
Yeah, I totally get how my actions have affected, like, everything else.
Really?
Uh-huh.
We discussed this in the last episode.
It's an ongoing plot, so I don't remember the buttons they put on it. But what we're getting now is it seems to be like a sociopathy or a psychopathy thing happening, where his brain just doesn't even see the world the right way.
The problem is you don't even see things the same.
For sure. And Bree is rightfully concerned about that. She's like,
no one else is. Danielle's not. Rex is not. Rex is golfing.
Okay, I don't really expect Danielle to be. I'm not going to put that on her. I don't expect her to really give a shit. They seem like acrimonious siblings.
The places where they're together and not is interesting.
The thing to me is that Bree is like, what else can we do? And Rex is like, I don't know. We've already taken away the phone and the TV and like all of this stuff. He's basically grounded. All he can do is hang out in his room. And Bree is like, maybe we at the swim meet, speaking loudly. Bree is
this
like,
whole episode was just people
talking about
It was about people loudly doing private things in public and getting found out.
Yeah.
This whole episode.
Absolutely ridiculous. But she basically is like,
I think we should make him quit the swim team.
Bree, this is the one thing in his life that he's passionate about.
Well, maybe if we take it away from him, then he'll start to understand what he did.
And it was just very, he's a promising young man, like, rhetoric out of Rex's mouth. And first of all, I feel like Andrew can't be more than a junior. So it's like still, like, sure, he should be trying hard on the swim team, but like, you're not getting offered scholarships as a junior to college.
This is also TV logic. So,
Whatever.
I mean, he's in high school as long as the show needs him to be.
Whatever. So But the thing for me is, like, I don't agree with Bree either. Like, I don't think you should take away his physical outlet.
No, that especially no.
And I don't like that. No matter what I ever did as a kid that I got punished for, I never got my music lessons or my sports taken away.
I was going to say anything physical or like reading.
Yeah.
Like,
no, and I never got books.
Yeah, like
it was just like TV and the phone, and I couldn't do like sleepovers or go to the mall or whatever. And so that to me is, I don't agree with either of them, but I just like
Bree is
to
trying
be on Bree's side.
She's trying to reason with him.
She's also trying to provoke a reaction, like any kind of reaction.
And you're gonna lose that game, with that little
with
shit.
that kid for sure.
Holy, and they go to hell and back.
They do.
And that's where it's like I have vague memories of, because I watched the entire series.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember that, and this is our, if you're new, this is our policy
Vague
on spoilers. It's vague tonal, like we'll spoil something that says like, oh, the show goes in a good direction or a bad direction, but we're not going to be like, and then when this person dies in season, you know. But so I know that Andrew and Bree end up in a good place.
But you don't really remember.
It takes a long
time.
time to get there.
Yeah. I also just like the audacity of Rex with his whole chest.
Again, if you have time to golf.
Okay, well, that in the first place is unacceptable. And then the audacity of her to come there with a container of Andrew's urine and be like, I need you to test this for pot. And he's like, why would I do that? And it's like, because your son is smoking pot. And like, that's not allowed. Like, just generally.
Yeah, for at least another 16 years.
Not even that, at least wait till you're 18. Like, for fuck's sake. So regardless, and then he has, with his whole chest, the audacity to say,
we're still getting divorced, and I don't have to let you push me around anymore.
I never pushed you around. We always made our decisions together.
No, you always make decisions, then tell me I agree. 18 years of smiling and taking it. Thank God you're out of my life.
It's like, you've been an adult man your entire marriage. You could have said stop doing that at any point, and you didn't. You let it happen because it was easier, and so I have no sympathy for you, and you're wrong. Garbage.
Every time that I think I've found like a point in Rex's case, you make it very clear that I did not.
I'm not letting you have it. He is full trash. Full trash. No arguments. And because that's what I just
because we are getting we've had a back and forth for the first 9 episodes about Tom, and I've kept singling Tom out.
He's better than the rest of them.
Working on it. So he's
trying, but Rex it's just also very like smug and arrogant, and he's so joyful about twisting the knife at Bree about not having to listen to her anymore.
Well, he's treating his family
like they're accessories.
Yeah, but it's like it's this like chore that he's tired of doing.
Yeah.
Like he's above it. It's like, I'm not doing this anymore, okay? This is beneath me. And it's like, you made it!
You did this very purposefully. So no, I'm not allowing that. I guess we didn't actually, there is Paul and Zach. So Zach has run away from the facility. Paul is doing a sarcastic bang up job of burying Mrs. Huber and washing blood out of his blue jeans that he's just going to throw away anyway. So regardless,
they know Martha Huber.
Well, they think she's gone to visit her sister.
Good showing for Edie, too.
Edie, what did you do to that dress? Well, I made it audience friendly. You tell I'm not wearing any underwear? Yes. Good.
She only had a little bit of material in this one, but it was high comedy, high art.
That was a very good pun.
What?
She had a very little bit of material. Like the dress as well.
It was high art.
Yeah. And so basically Julie and...
It was not high art. It was very lowbrow.
Julie and Zach have been writing letters to each other, and then Zach is missing from the facility, and he is staying with Julie, and he's been telling her stuff about Dana, who he believes was his little sister that he killed. He believes he killed her.
But he doesn't remember.
But he doesn't remember because he was quite young. And then Paul... like almost tries to confiscate Julie's mail, and Susan is like,
my son is missing.
Julie, in the letters, did Zach say anything about running away?
No.
There's your answer.
No. My daughter doesn't lie.
I'm a little bit of a Susan truther.
Yeah.
Because she is annoying, but she pulls through.
She does pull through, and I appreciate that. However, Julie is lying to her about Zach and the letters.
Well,
and stuff
Julie
like
doesn't
that.
have all the information yet.
Of course, yes.
Once Julie has once she feels that she has the appropriate information, she outsources.
Yeah. And then also, the cops found the wooden box maker chest, I guess, and
it's this like Keebler elf.
Mr. Linder! Ah! Detective Beckerman. This is Detective Burnett. We're hoping for a minute of your time.
That's been making handmade toys in Wysteria for decades.
It's actually kind of terrifying, if I'm being honest.
And he has everything written down in this like spell book.
He was like, I'll have to find my records. They're written with gold thread. And so basically the cops are like,
It had a body inside. Adult female.
Yeah, but how do you fit a body into a chest that size?
It was chopped up.
we found there was a body inside this box. We found it in the lake. But it was a 25-year-old woman in the box. Then she was dismembered and stuffed in there. So that, I think, is all we've got.
Man, yeah, that was a lot.
Packed episode.
That was a lot. Okay, well, we are going to cut it off there. If we missed anything, which we sometimes do, we'll tack it on next week.
Yep.
So, all right.
Bye.
Bye.